Meghann, thank you so much for being with us. It was a joy to spend some time with your parents a little bit ago, talking about them raising you and Ashley, and really being a part of raising a lot of generations in our church from the nursery up. As you look back and you think about your parents and how they raised you guys in the church, or maybe their mentoring also of others in the church, what sticks out to you in terms of things they did well and just raising you to be a faithful disciple of Jesus?
Yeah, so I always, when I tell my faith story, what I share is that I've never known a time in my life I've not been a part of the church. And so many people that are a part of this congregation, in so many ways, I would say, are part of my family. So, like you say mom and dad, my mom and dad, but which mom and dad?
Right.
There's so many of the people that are part of this congregation that had a part of shaping me. And I think that, the best thing that they did well is make me part of a Christian community at a very young age, and allow me to have exposure and connection to so many other people who had wisdom and influence and support to have that village to help raise me in so many different senses.
Yeah, that word village is coming up. And Pastor Chelsea used it in her sermon last week as we were talking. But it takes more than just the parents. Mm-hmm. But your parents, they've done that for other people. Like, do you have a different vantage point in looking at your parents helping mentor others up?
Yeah, it's always been interesting because your parents are your parents, and I think it's funny because I think oftentimes it's sometimes easier to mentor others than it is even to mentor your own kid or
Yes.
whatever, but it's always been a lot of the things that I see them doing with other people are what I also would say was happening in my own home and as a part of my own life, and in the ways that they couldn't be that for me. Part of what I'm saying is that being a part of this church congregation allowed others to be what they were for others, for me.
Yeah. Total village.
Sometimes there's just things you don't talk to your parents about, or you don't,
true.
Especially as you're a teenager or whatnot.
Yeah, that's true.
And so you just, it's helpful to have those different people who can fill those different kinds of roles for you.
If you had a chance, and you do now on tape, to compliment your parents on, what they did right and helping put you guys on the path to faith and faithfulness, what compliments would you shoot their way?
Yeah, it would be, thank you, Mom and Dad, for helping me to know my neighbor and to be able to, when I tell my story about Micah, and even as we think about how we involve kids at Micah, I oftentimes say, I am who I am because I had parents who took me at a very young age to feed when the shelter was rotating between the churches. And there's never been a time in my life where I've been afraid of the other or concerned about interacting with, because I had this normalized experience of knowing difference, knowing disability, knowing of really what it meant to care for others. And I think that was a big part of what helped propel me into a lot of other things in life that have kind of led me to where I am now.
And I think that's the essence. I talked to your parents, and some of the other parents were interviewing about that being inherent to our vows as Methodists, that the parents, it's by their teaching and by their example that the child will grow up to be a witness to Christ. Sure. And you got to see that in practice.
Yeah.
Not just from your parents, but other adults that were a part of your community here.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. That's what we want to happen, Meghann. What you talked about immersion and community? Are there particular memories of that, or other just faith practices that just really kind of rise up from your parents' witness, or is it like things that just kind of really?
I guess one of the things that I think, it's interesting to talk about this because I tend to want to tell you, like, let me tell you about youth group, and let me tell you about Fred Camp, and let me tell you about, any other number of different things I was a part of. And, my parents, they got me there. They made it important that I be there and a part of it. But, when I think about it, they were there too.
That's one of the things they said. It's like we thought it was important to be there.
Yeah, I can't ever think of a thing that I did as a kid that my parents, whether I wanted them to or not, that they weren't involved integrally, and that I think was a big part of, I think, the we weren't just there because I needed it to be there, but we were there as a family, and that it was, they were coming with me. In my work, we talk a lot about going with people as you're raising them, as you're helping them through a situation. But as parents, I think that's one of the most important things that they did for me was to come with me in my growth and being and becoming.
Yeah, and I think they shared, they were being shaped by that too. So it was like overall, like family faith formation happening. They felt it was important to be present with and alongside, but they were being shaped through that too.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, some of the reflection that we have now upon the church is too much of like churning kids loose to the program and not participating in the program and living the program of faith out in the home.
Yeah.
So that's a great example of what can work, is the family being shaped together.
Yeah, and come to think of it, they're still coming with me because
They are.
two of my biggest volunteers at Micah.
You're still living it out.
I don't ask them to do that.
Yeah.
They do it because they want to, and they intricately love the people that we love the same way that I do.
Yeah. Looking back, how are the foundations of your faith, whether it's your parents or other mentors, how do you look back and see that shaped you? Like if you were looking back, what ways have you been shaped by those foundational mentors, those?
Well, so like this might be a surprise to people or maybe not, but like I was kind of a nerdy kid. and I didn't fit in well in a lot of the things that kids like to think that they fit in well. And the one place in my life that I always look back and think like it was my people was as I was a part of youth group, as a part of Fred Camp, and being able to to know that, even when, you get picked on in school or you can't quite find your jive or whatever, this was a place I could come and be fundamentally who I was and had people that were nurturing me into that. And I think that has left a lasting impression on me, and that's really fundamental to even my view of church and what it means. No matter whether it's a kid or a person who's homeless or whatnot, is just being able to be each other's people.
Absolutely. And Meghann, as this congregation looks at you, we look at you as like one of our rock stars, right? We're talking about world changers. That's what you do. But peeling back from your local rock star status, we all appreciate all you do. Just at the clearest essence of who you are, how do you think you share your faith the best? You have this great foundation. We see all the fruitfulness of your work in our community that goes on and on. But where do you think you're the best at sort of sharing faith in ways that influence others now? Tell us how you think you do that the best.
Yeah, so I think that I know how to love people that are sometimes hard to love, because because of the example that I gained as a part of this congregation. And there are many times, whether it's one-on-one with somebody or being a prophetic voice to somebody who maybe doesn't know quite how to love them, I think I end up wearing, my faith is expressed, I think, both in, being a people to people who don't have people a lot of times, and also in helping those who aren't sure how to be the community and the relationships that people that find themselves in a hard place need. I think, being able to tell the story in a way that invites people to think differently about it, is a huge part of how I share my faith.
And you do that so well, Meghann. And I hope the congregation kind of hears their part in your ministry, because your ministry is far-reaching, and it truly has changed lives and saved lives, and it's in process of doing even more. But the people here at FUMC have been a part of that in raising you, and your parents entrusting you as a younger person to this community here and to their wisdom. That's the best that we could hope for in raising up anybody.
Yeah.
Gives me chills to talk about it.
There's no doubt. I mean, that I think this congregation has so much to do with who I am today. I mean, there's not a week that goes by that I don't think about something that has kind of been a part of those building blocks. And as much as I lead Micah, and Micah is a collaboration of churches, and the churches are Micah. We're intertwined in that way. Like, there's a Meghann in the middle of it that is like, my DNA is interwoven with this community that helped prepare me for that role.
Yeah. Wow. I hope you're hearing that, church. So as the church is listening, Meghann, what advice do you have to our congregation for the present moment of raising a generation in the context that you're parenting, that I'm parenting, that our parents and grandparents and mentors of today are trying to help people along in the faith? What advice can you give us that you're seeing from your vantage point now as mom and community leader and ministry leader?
Yeah. So I think it's look for the spaces where your kids can have people that can to water and nurture and till the soil in which the seeds. I mean, a seed is no good unless it has soil, right?
Right.
And so I think it's looking for that good soil to plant your seeds, and know that as a parent, you can't do it alone. I have 2 boys. I certainly know that I am only like one small piece of what it's going to take to help them get to be where they need to be in life. And so finding those spaces where for your kids to be grown and nurtured and be okay with knowing you can't be all that they need is a big part of it. And I think, finding ways to make them a part of cultures and experiences of people that are different than them, that to know that it's normal for all of us to come to the banquet table with different beliefs, with different races, different perspectives, different socioeconomic status, and it's okay for all of us to come being fundamentally different. And we can be different, and we can still be one body and one family, and we're better for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else that you just want to sprinkle in thoughts as you've thought about raising the present generation of children and youth?
I don't think so.
Yeah, well, you've really done an excellent job with this set of questions.
Have a profound thought.
No, I was giving you the space for that. You've been very profound. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your heart and a bit of your life and your parents with us. And Thank you for inspiring us in the ministry that you do.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.